Hollywood is filled with a bunch of great action movies, but there's one movie that inspired a lot of them. From The Two Towers, John Wick, and even Star Wars. All of these were inspired by one movie, and that movie is Seven Samurai. Made in the year 1954. This movie is incredible. It's the story of a bunch of farmers who search down the higher samurais to protect their village from ruffians who are coming to attack them. Very simple-minded story, and with it being Foreign Film Month, I want to talk about the movie that inspired them all. Let's jump in my review of The Seven Samurai. To start out, let me just say, this is not the type of movie that I would just sit down and have a movie night with my girlfriend or something like that. This is a movie that you dissect. This is a movie that you analyze. You don't just sit down and watch this movie like any other movie. Okay, editors, stop it. I know I don't have a girlfriend, but that doesn't change the fact that I can still say stuff like that. The point is that this is not a movie that is just simply watched, where you just turn on and you watch in the back while you're talking or stuff like that. This is a movie that it is enjoyable to watch, but it's enjoyable from the standpoint of filmmaking. I will definitely talk about this movie on my channel sometime and breaking down the elements of this movie that makes it so great, why the opening is so great, stuff like that. But for now, this is just a review for it. So with that being said, let's jump in to what is the story about. So as I already mentioned, the story is about this village where some of the people had overheard some thieves talking about how they're going to attack this village soon, but they're waiting for the harvest to come so they can get the most out of their attack, basically. Now, that's only in like a couple days type thing. It's like, oh dear, they don't have that much time to prepare for this or anything. And they're a bunch of farmers. They're not ready to be able to protect their village from armored men. So they go to the wisest man in their village, and they say, please, what do we do? And he says, hire a samurai. It's like, we don't have any money for that. And he says, find a hungry samurai. The movie starts. And the rest, so for the whole rest of the first act is just them searching. They meet one samurai, and because of that samurai, he's inviting all these other samurai to come in. And then you go into the second and third act, and you have all the battles and stuff like that. And it's a very epic movie. The main thing about the movie is just this protection of this village by these samurai, and the hunt for these samurai by these people. Just in fact, this movie, as a lot of people who know about this movie probably already know this, but this movie was originally just going to be a day in the life of a samurai. But then they changed the story a little bit more, until it became the sixth samurai. And then at the end, found another guy they wanted to add into the samurais, and boom, now you got the seven samurais. So that's where the name came from. A little bit of story behind that movie. There are a lot of good elements about this, but before I get into all these good elements, I want to quickly bring up some problems with this movie. One thing about this movie is it's an older movie. I could easily build up this movie and talk about how great this movie is, but in the same way, I could also be nitpicky and try to tear apart every little detail about this movie that's wrong. Oh, the dialogue in this one moment is wrong. That type of stuff. For those who saw my video on Darth Vader, you would know I have the ability to take an opinion that no one else has about something and just totally just put all my emphasis on how, Darth Vader is a terrible villain, something like that. And a lot of people would disagree with me on that. In the same way, I could find a way to break down this movie and tell you how terrible it is. But I can also bring up hundreds of ways to how great it is. Just like I could also bring up ways that Star Wars is actually great too. So some things that could be actually a problem in this movie is there's not really that much music. There are some music scenes, but it's very like, if no one's talking, it's just quiet, and then you hear like grunts and stuff like that, and it's just like, okay. If this was made nowadays, they would put a big emphasis on all those scenes, add in music, add in something to bring it more to life. And did it take me out of those scenes? No, because they were really funny, and you would have to watch this movie to actually understand what I'm talking about fully. I would strongly recommend, if you are interested in this channel, you probably would be interested in watching a movie like that because you like filmmaking stuff, and so you would probably like that film. Besides that, some of the dialogue is also it's not in English, so I don't know what the dialogue is like in Japanese, but based off of the English translation of it, with the subtitles and all, some of the dialogue is not the best, and kind of straight to the point type of dialogue that would easily be taken, ripped apart nowadays with you can find better ways to say stuff. So those are a few problems. So I would say the cinematography in this movie is actually pretty good. So you can easily have people trying to say otherwise. A lot of people don't like black and white movies. This is in black and white. And some people would say that means it doesn't have good cinematography because, oh, it's older. But I felt like the cinematography was good. And not just of its time, but it's also just good cinematography in general, like the camera movements and stuff like that. I liked it. Some people might have a different opinion than me on that, but I thought it was good. Overall, I think the story was really good too. Was it a very simple story? Yes. Did they have fun with it? Yes. You can have a simple story, and it can be really good, and it's well executed. This is almost a 3-hour long movie, so it is longer, but still very simple with its story. Again, as I mentioned before, probably my favorite moment from this is just the opening moment, where it's really, this movie really just throws you straight in. It opens with the bandits like riding up to this village over a cliff and just saying like, oh, we want to attack this place. And then they run off. And then immediately you see the villagers who heard that going to talk. You're able to see the distress in these villagers. And then they go talk to the old wise man in the village. And then they go on their way to find the samurai. Very straightforward. As I was saying before, you could all honestly find disadvantages in there with some of the dialogue coming off like to this, that, this. But besides that, it's like very straight to the point, very well chopped together opening that really throws you in. And by the first few minutes, I really understood, okay, this is what this movie is about. This is what we're dealing with in this movie. And it's really well done with that. Where it's very straight to the point. Boom, this is what's happening. Throwing you in there. Enjoy the movie. Very, very well done. The characters. Honestly, I'm just going to put that out there. I would love to get trained by that master samurai in this movie. He was so much fun. He had the joy but also this sternness to him of a samurai. But he was awesome. I really, really liked him in this movie. And I would just remember the whole time for the movie, I'm like, man, I wish I was living in those days and I could become a samurai under that guy, because that guy would really know how to train. And the other samurais too. Like the one samurai who, like, the first moment you get with him is like him killing that one guy who's like thinks he's so great and he's like easily take him down. That samurai I would love to get some training from him too. It's like all the samurais in this movie are just awesome. I love the samurais. I felt like all the characters in general were just very well put together in their simpleness, from the villagers to the samurai. Every character in this movie well put together in my mind. Last big thing, with it being an action movie, I had to talk about this. The action in this movie, in my mind, is really good. Nowadays, we're living in a time where everything has to be fast-paced. Boom, 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 there, type thing. And so a lot of people can't stand slower action scenes, stuff like that. And this movie is older action, and I like it. I haven't really talked about this yet on my channel before, but I really love samurai stuff. In fact, I have a couple of samurai swords. I was going to actually pull them out and put them on display in the back while recording this, but I forgot to. I'm realizing that now. But yeah, I have a couple of samurai swords. But yeah, I really like the traditions behind and the myths in Japan. They have a deep history that I find really cool. So that's why when I was thinking of foreign film month this month, I was like, I want to do Japanese films. Sadly, I haven't been able to get to as much films this month as I wanted to. The last month has been very hectic. Last couple months really have been really hectic for my family. We just lost both of our grandfathers, so I've been kind of here and there, kind of out of it for the last month now. So that's somewhat, I've been busy, stuff like that. So I haven't got to as much films as I wanted to, but I wanted to make sure to get to this film because this is the film that inspired so much of my favorite films and just the action genre in general. This is the movie of that. If Lord of the Rings is the one that inspired modern fantasy, then this is the movie that inspired the action genre of movies. And again, is it a film you sit down and watch for fun? If you are a filmmaker, then yes. But I just, watching this movie, I felt like this feeling of, I wouldn't sit down and watch this movie with my family or with just friends. I wouldn't like, hey, you guys want to have a movie night? We're going to watch Seven Samurai. It's not that type of movie. It's the type of movie that you sit down with a notebook and you take down notes about how great this movie is. This is the type of movie you watch for a college class and dissect the movie. So if you are thinking of becoming a filmmaker, or just in general really love filmmaking, I would recommend checking out this movie. It's really, really good. Everything about it, the acting, the characters, the action, everything about this movie is just really good with a strong story. It's not the type of movie you just sit down and watch as a movie night with your friends. And if you guys haven't got the chance yet, please consider subscribing so we can reach more people. And as I like to say, and spark creative minds. So with that being said, this has been the Movie Night Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.